Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Nicole Attias with Prospect to Win. Today, I have with me Dan Pfister of Winback Labs. So, Dan, if you just want to take a couple of minutes to introduce what you do.
Sure. So what I do is I help people win back their lost customers. The idea is that this is some of the lowest hanging fruit in a business, and we've all worked really hard to get to develop this customer base, and a lot of it can be saved that leaves. So that's what I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's kind of funny because what I teach is, how to go get them, how to prospect, how to
Yeah.
follow up, how to push hard. But you know what? If there's something I could learn from you, it is, how do you save lost customers? Like what are some, things that you teach or share in order to make this happen?
Well, it depends on why a person leaves, right? A person could leave on good terms or they could leave on bad terms, right? And both groups you can win back. And we can get into exact tactics, but basically if somebody leaves on good terms, they were lured away by a competitor, right? There's some bright shiny object, they made some big promises, they wanted to try something new. And a lot of them will actually be disappointed and they'll find that they're actually, better off with you in the first place, but they won't come back on their own. You've got to reach out to them. And so those are fairly easy people to win back. We did a study and we found that about 1 in 4 lost customers will come back if you approach them well. And we can get into a lot more detail about that later. But so that's people left on good terms. And then there's people left on bad terms. Maybe they had an issue with the product or there's a customer service issue. And what's really interesting about people who leave on bad terms is you can actually strengthen a relationship when they go through some kind of adversity. And so if you reach out with empathy, you show you care, and you fix the problem, a lot of these people will come back. And not only will they come back, they'll be more loyal because on some level, like you've been through something together and you've got this bond. And there was actually a study done by Marriott Hotels, and they had this group of people who had a good stay, and they had people who had a crappy stay, and then they had people who had a bad stay that was fixed, like they had a problem that was fixed. The people who had a good stay, 89% that they said that they would come back. The people who had a lousy stay and didn't get fixed, 69% said they would come back. But the people who had a bad stay and that thing was fixed, 94% said they would come back. So it's just like it's a really weird quirk of human nature, but just because somebody leaves on bad terms, don't write them off.
That's amazing. That's really awesome. I agree with you. Now, my fear, and I would think many people have the same fear, is, well, how do you approach angry or dissatisfied customers? Like, how do you approach them if they want, like, oh, I had a bad experience. I don't want to deal with XYZ company anymore. How do you handle that?
So you reach out and you right off the bat you acknowledge that we messed up. This is totally on us, and we're not even trying to win your business back. We just want to hear your story. We want to do whatever we can to make things right by you. I mean, that's why we're here. And what that does is that opens the door. That lowers their defenses. It's not like you're just not here just to sell them again. It lowers their defenses, and they'll be much more willing to talk to you about uh, what really went wrong and or who did it or what the real problems were. And when they tell you those things, you after that conversation is finished, you don't just go and pitch them, okay? You go and you just ask for, like, say they went to a different vendor, right? They left you, they're upset with you, they left you, they went to a different vendor. Just ask, can we check in? Can I check in like 2 or 3 months to see how things are going? And that's how you get the process running. That's with like with a bigger sale. With something smaller, you can simply reach out, apologize, and ask where did we fall short, and then whatever they say, you can come back with something to make that better. The the other thing is that even if somebody doesn't come back, like let's just say that there's a mess up and you reach out, well, think of it this way. the minute somebody leaves, they were so angry that they've, they invested all this time and effort into buying your product and they learned how to use it and everything else. And now they're going to leave and they've got to go and start the process again of finding another vendor. They got to be pretty upset to leave, right? Or at least the chances are they are. That's when people tend to be at their most upset. And at that time, you've got this big problem because they can go reach out on social media. They could go tell everybody on LinkedIn what happened. They can go to G2 and write a crappy review. And word of mouth is just so incredibly important. So that can really, I mean, think of, if you're on G2 and you see somebody's got 35 bad reviews, even if they got 5,000 good ones, if they got 35 really crappy ones, that's going to take you out of the consideration set, right? So if you reach out, show you care, take responsibility, even if they don't come back, that letting them tell the story to express it to you rather than to G2 or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, it mutes so much negative word of mouth. So just that one act is hugely valuable.
That is so smart. Take responsibility and do it quickly.
Yeah.
And another key word or words are follow-up. That's a huge thing in prospecting, right? That's part of what I teach is following up. This is no different. This is no different. So you said, talk to them in a certain way, show that you care, be apologetic, and then follow it up, check in 2 or 3 months down the line, as opposed to, okay, I talked to you now, it's time to sell you again, right? Nobody wants to be sold to. Now, is there anything you've noticed with, let's say, I know we're talking in terms of corporate, what about working with smaller businesses or entrepreneurs? Like, are there any other ways you can, work with these individuals to get them to hear you again if something went wrong? Or is it the same process?
Well, it's basically the same process. Now, if you've got a lot of customers and you've got a fair amount of attrition, you can't reach out to everyone by phone, or you can't ask for meetings with everyone. But what you can do is you can reach out to, like, would you like to talk about, like, if you lose like 500 customers a month or some large number, or would you like to talk about something different?
I'd like to talk about, let's say, a smaller number of customers for a smaller business, just for a moment.
Sure. Okay. So let's just say that you lose, if you're only losing like 1 or 2 customers a month, what I just said is what you do. You reach out, you do it personal, and because it's going to be higher value client, right? If it's only 1 or 2. But if it's like, say, 8 or 10 people, reach out by phone and keep reaching out to people until you start hearing the same thing over and over again. Because there's going to be holes in that sales bucket that you've got, right, that you're not aware of. People are leaving for reasons that you don't know, right? You're already doing everything you can to retain them, but they're still leaving. So reach out, talk to them. It'll probably take about 20 or 30 people before you really get a good idea of why people are leaving. And you've finished your surveying, your phone surveying, when you start hearing the same thing over and over again. And typically it'll be like 3 to 5 things that are bugging people about what you're doing. And after you get that knowledge, there's going to be some things that you can fix and some things that you can't fix. You fix the things you can and you mitigate or create workarounds for the rest of the things. And when you reach out to them and say, listen, like, what did we do wrong? Where did we go wrong? You can come back, and they'll tell you, you can come back a few weeks later or a month later and say, listen, what we did, what you told us, that feedback was hugely valuable. What we've done is we've changed our processes because of that, and I want to thank you because you've helped make us better. You're not selling them, you're just going back and letting them know you changed. And because you've already said, I'd like to check back with you in like 3 months, there might be 2 or 3 of these things. So when you check back to them in 3 months, this is just an email message, right? When you're on the phone with them, all this negative stuff, and it's just like, oh my God, see this new vendor, they're good, but now that whole aura of new is wearing off. Right now, you're starting to see their flaws. And meanwhile, while you're starting to see their flaws, they're starting to remember you better because you're fixing this, this, and this.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. So before we finish off today, I just want to know, like, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? And, do you offer, what kind of programs do you offer for companies and organizations out there?
Well, I do one-on-one consulting. We also have a program where what we do is we take a full day and we map out an entire win-back strategy. And then there's a follow-up program for anyone who's interested, where we actually work with you side by side to implement that to implement on the playbook that was created in the single day. And you can find me at winbacklabs.com, and my email is dan@winbacklabs.com.
Beautiful. And I know you're very active on LinkedIn, so people can find you there as well. Well, look, Dan, I really appreciated our time today, and we will do this again.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.